Two heavyweight showdowns, a housing market on the ropes, and tariff talk that could hit home. Toronto, it's a busy Sunday. It's Sunday, January 25th, 2026. Quick weather check. Around -9 degrees today in Toronto, dipping to about -13 and up to roughly -6. Expect snow on and off. Winds up to 38 kilometers per hour. Let's start with sports, because today is a doubleheader for the city. The Maple Leafs host the league-leading Colorado Avalanche, who sit atop the NHL with 77 points and remain favorites for both the President's Trophy and the Stanley Cup, despite a stumble of 4 losses in their last 5, including a 7-3 home loss to Philadelphia. The Leafs are aiming to sweep the season series after that 4-3 overtime win in Denver, but they're grinding through a tough stretch. They've dropped the first 3 games of a 5-game homestand, and head coach Craig Berube, who suffered a serious head cut in a gym accident that required about 50 stitches, has canceled a practice to manage energy in a dense schedule. Berube's message has been about mental toughness and grinding through. Captain Auston Matthews also pointed to the demanding pre-Olympic slate and the need to find full-game energy. It's a measuring stick matchup against an elite opponent that's suddenly mortal. On the hardwood, the Raptors wrap their road trip against the defending NBA champion, Oklahoma City Thunder. OKC isn't chasing the regular season wins record, but they're a favorite to repeat. And Shai Gilgeous-Alexander is the frontrunner for MVP, with Chet Holmgren leading the conversation for Defensive Player of the Year. It's the first meeting of the season after 2 12-point Thunder wins last year. Toronto arrives with a shot of momentum after a 110-98 victory in Portland, where, by the end, only Raptors fans were audible. The team even invited supporters backstage, underscoring the bond between the club and its traveling faithful. A bright spot, Grady Dick. His game has steadied over the last several outings, around 11 points a night, pairing consistent offense with better defense and transition impact. Head coach Darko Rajakovic praised his confidence and all-around contributions. Dick's bench minutes were pivotal in that fourth-quarter push to beat the Blazers. We'll see if that carries into OKC. Turning to local news, Toronto Fire battled a 3-alarm blaze in West Queen West that spread to multiple houses. Several residents were displaced, and one person suffered minor injuries. Crews contained the multi-home spread, but it's another reminder of how quickly these older, dense streetscapes can be at risk in winter conditions. City Hall is also zeroing in on iceberg homes, those luxury builds with large underground spaces. The plan? Restrict big subterranean digs with underground setbacks to protect soil health, roots for the urban forest, and stormwater management. Officials point to flooding risks and a push to increase Toronto's tree canopy to 40% by 2050. There's also a climate lens here. These projects often mean heavy excavation and lots of concrete, translating to a larger carbon footprint and impacts on neighboring properties. Meanwhile, the broader housing and construction picture is flashing warning lights. New home sales across the GTA hit record lows in 2025, about 5,300 sales, which is down 81% from the 10-year average. The Building Industry and Land Development Association warns that such low sales could threaten up to 100,000 construction-related jobs. Factors like geopolitical uncertainty, high prices, and the pause in interest rate cuts are expected to weigh on buyer confidence into 2026. Nationally, trade tensions are in the spotlight. Alberta Premier Danielle Smith says she'll push ahead on securing trade agreements with the United States, regardless of political disagreements between Ottawa and Washington. Her focus is making sure potential tariffs don't undercut Alberta's economic interests or cross-border commerce. That message meets a sharper edge from the White House. U.S. President Donald Trump is threatening 100% tariffs on Canadian goods if Canada proceeds with a trade deal with China. He referred to Prime Minister Mark Carney as governor, reprising a label he once used for former Prime Minister Justin Trudeau, and warned Canada can't be a drop-off port for Chinese products entering the U.S. Trump argues a China-Canada deal would let China eat Canada alive, with damage to businesses and social fabric. Canadian officials counter that recent talks with China were not about a free trade agreement, but addressing key tariff issues. However this plays out, the stakes are high for Ontario exporters and cross-border supply chains. There's also a broader rethink underway in Ottawa. The Carney Liberals return to the House 2 seats shy of a majority, close enough to dream of one, close enough to risk an election. Chrystia Freeland's resignation has left a hole in the cabinet, with no significant reshuffle over the break, and Conservatives will hold a leadership review vote at their party convention that could ripple through the political landscape. On foreign policy, Carney delivered a striking speech in Switzerland, declaring the end of the old, rules-based international order, replaced by intensifying great power rivalry, a framing that echoes pivotal post-war addresses by earlier Canadian leaders, and hints at a shift in how Canada engages the world. Amid all that, cross-border travel took a hit last year. Statistics Canada says Canadian land trips to the U.S. fell 30.9% in 2025. That's about 7.6 million fewer Canadian automobiles crossing compared with 2024, with 17 million vehicles processed at the U.S. border overall. American entries into Canada declined 6.3%. Analysts describe the length and depth of the drop as unprecedented in recent history, after years of relatively stable traffic. It's a notable signal for border towns, tourism, and retailers on both sides. A quick regional note from Ottawa. Fire and rescue crews handled a string of serious calls. A kitchen fire in a townhome on Draper Avenue displaced 3 people. Tragically, 2 dogs died. Crews also extricated a trapped driver after a collision at Carling Avenue and Merivale Road. 2 separate carbon monoxide incidents, one at the Hyatt Place Hotel and another at a retirement home, prompted evacuations after dangerous levels were detected. And a fire at a Vanier triplex displaced 3 adults, with residents shepherded to temporary shelter amid extreme cold. It's been a taxing stretch for first responders. Back to the games tonight. The Leafs get the league's best, but a slumping best, with a chance to flip their homestand narrative in one night. And the Raptors face the champions, with Shai and Chet setting the bar high. Exactly the kind of test that can sharpen a team and spotlight rising contributors like Grady Dick. We'll keep you posted on the Fire's aftermaths, housing policy moves at City Hall, and the next turns in Canada, US, China trade dynamics. If you're heading out, bundle up. It's snowy and cold, and enjoy a packed Toronto Sports Sunday. Thanks for listening. Subscribe, leave a review, and we'll be back tomorrow with the latest.